Today we're going to draw a chair in negative space. We're going to want to focus on drawing the space around the chair rather than the chair itself. We should find that in trying to draw the space around the chair, we're also able to successfully draw the chair itself. We'll start by setting the ground and prepping the viewfinder. You're going to want your drawing surface to be the same size as your viewfinder. These viewfinders are 8 by 10. An easy way to do this is to just take the viewfinder, lay it down on your paper, and draw around the border. That will give you a perfectly sized drawing area. Now we're going to go ahead and move this over here, and we're going to tone our ground. So using a graphite stick, we're going to lightly color the entirety of our drawing area on the paper. We want the tone to be a medium tone. We don't want to go too dark or too light. We want it to be easy to erase and as smooth as we can get it. So once we lay down a little bit of pigment here with our graphite stick, we're going to smudge it together with a tissue. Now we're going to add our cross lines. We're going to do that by measuring across. We've got 8 inches going across, so we're going to make a mark at the 4-inch mark. And we're going to do the same thing on the bottom. After this, we'll connect those two marks together with a vertical line. Do the same thing going horizontally. For the horizontal lines, we'll measure to 5 inches and 5 inches on the right side as well, and then connect those together. Now we're going to add the same crosshairs to our viewfinder. So we're going to measure to 4 inches across on the top and on the bottom. And then we're going to measure to 5 inches down on the two sides and connect them all together. Next, we're going to place our viewfinder on top of our image here. So you can scoot it around and try to find a composition you like, and that's where you're going to leave it. I have to tape mine because I'm on a slanty board here, but if you're on a flat table, you should just be able to set it down wherever you need it. Next, we're going to select a basic unit. Basic unit is a small part of the picture that we use to measure everything else in the picture with and to compare it to. You want to choose something that's kind of medium sized. You don't want something that's going to take up too much of the paper or be too small. So something about this size is pretty good. This is a good one to choose. If you want to choose another space, you can choose any one you want. We're focusing on the negative space, so it's important that what we choose is a negative space or a shape made out of empty space. This is a good choice, but again, feel free to experiment with whatever one you want to try. We're going to outline it in dry erase marker. Next, we're going to draw that same shape we just drew on the viewfinder on our drawing paper. So for this, I'm going to flip the picture over so that I have a nice white background, and I'm going to try to draw that shape as accurately as possible. This is going to be the cornerstone that I kind of build the rest of the drawing off of. So I want it to be the correct size and shape because I'm going to be using it to measure the entire rest of the drawing. We can use this same method to draw all sorts of things, to measure all sorts of things while we're drawing. Some good examples of common basic units are things like using heads when you're drawing a body to measure the rest of the body parts against. Another good example is using eyes when you're drawing a portrait. It's really just having a small part of the whole that is a convenient size to measure other things against. And as we copy this drawing, we want to lay this out in the right spot so that the rest of our drawing and the rest of our composition falls into place. At this point, I think it's a really good idea to check your size, shape, and placement of your basic unit. You can see I'm a little bit off here. You might be too, or maybe you'll be spot on. But then make some adjustments to it and kind of use this tool of putting the viewfinder on top of the paper just to check how you did. And if you were off by a lot, maybe try again. Try to get that basic unit down because it's a necessary skill that you'll use in the rest of the drawing. From this point on, we're basically going to draw all of the rest of the negative spaces using the basic unit to measure it. Looks like that adjustment has gotten us pretty good, so I think we're all set to move on from here. Now you're going to work your way through the rest of the drawing using that basic unit to measure all of the other negative spaces. Remember that you want to focus on the negative spaces, so they'll be the spaces in white. You don't need to get any of the details on the chair, you just need to get that white background. Try to focus on one shape at a time and draw it as accurately as possible, and keep measuring it against those basic units. You don't have to have any details in your chair, so you can just worry about getting the outline of each shape, and you should get the chair to pop in the end. After you're all finished, you can either shade in the chair or you can shade the space around it to get them to separate from each other. It doesn't matter which one you shade, so you can take your pick. You also might want to erase out the one that you don't shade. But just continue to work through in this fashion and you should have a chair that you've drawn by drawing the negative space around it rather than drawing the chair itself in pretty short order. I went ahead and shaded in my chair and erased out my background a little bit to kind of separate the two. This is more or less what our finished product should look like. Again, if you'd rather, you can just shade the background and erase out the chair. It doesn't really matter, but we should get the basic negative shapes surrounding the leftover chair shape at the end of the drawing. Alright, thank you for watching.